Greetings, this is Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I have drifted into the underworld. The Star Wars Underworld. I have a bad feeling about this.
Here we go. We must go to the lower levels. The underworld.
You've taken your first step into a larger world.
You're after something.
Ben.
Since I've started the underworld, I've met so many great friends.
Chris.
I grew up in the 1990s, and Maul packaging is nostalgic for me.
Dominic.
What I love most about Star Wars is that it's fun and it's all-round good times.
So, this is where the fun begins.
May the Force be with us.
This thing really moves!
Whoa! I like this!
I can't believe you came all this way to see me.
Why am I not in the intro? I gotta come up with a snappy line.
What's up, Star Wars fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Star Wars Underworld Podcast. We are your source for the latest breaking Star Wars news, reviews, and discussion each and every week. And this week on the show, we're going to be breaking down the Maul Shadow Lord Season 1, hopefully, trailer. Super excited to do that. My name is Chris. Joining me, it's my good friend, Mr. Dominic Jones.
Hello, Chris. Hello, Ben. Hello, everybody. Yeah, just checking here. No more news is broken in the last 20 minutes. We are clear. We are good.
That's it.
This is 2 weeks in a row. They're like, hey, what if we did the biggest thing on Thursday? And I appreciate that. And as much fun as we had last week with, shakeups at the top of Lucasfilm and all that stuff, my favorite shows that we've done, and we've done a lot of these over the years, but it's always one of my favorite shows, our trailer breakdown. So I'm so excited to finally talk about the Maul Shadow Lord trailer. It's going to be a great show.
Oh, heck yeah. I don't really know how we could get bigger news than the news we've gotten over the past few weeks, unless like Disney sold Star Wars to some other company. Like that's the only thing that could probably be bigger. Yeah, it was a good bet that. Yeah, we're so excited to talk about the trailer. Also joining us to do that, it's Ben Hart, the Star Wars guy.
How's it going, everybody? Good to be back. And yes, trailer day. Always good to love trailers. And the only thing I love more than trailers is trailers for my trailers, which is what we got yesterday for the which I love it. I love it when they're honest with us. Like I hate it when it's like, oh, trailer, it's just madness. I love just like, hey, tomorrow trailer, get ready for it. And then, of course, I wake up bright and early today, and they didn't release it bright and early. They released it like an hour after I thought they would. Darn you, Lucasfilm, for tripping me up like that. But yes, it's good trailer. Good to be talking about a new animated Star Wars show that's coming soon, very soon, which is something we actually haven't talked about in a hot minute. So that's very exciting.
Yeah, I will say, Ben, the trailer for the trailer, the one that they did was actually kind of awesome. Like that thing was sick.
Yeah.
That was really good. It obviously I prefer a real trailer, but like as a thing to announce that there is a trailer coming, and like you see the video says trailer announcement. So like it's not like you click on it thinking, oh, here it is. But just as like a thing to announce it, it was really cool. It was really, really cool. I thought they did a great job with that. I think that's something they should do more of. I hope for the next Mandalorian and Grogu trailer we get a little teaser like that. It's just pretty exciting.
Or how about a trailer for the trailer for the trailer? How about that? Trailer for the trailer announcement trailer for the trailer. How about that?
Now we're talking, bad. Now we're talking. Like just keep it going all the way around until we go full circle and they just release the movie. Like that, and then like movies out, trailer tomorrow. How does that sound?
Yeah,
like
there you go.
Sure,
there you go.
See, this just gives me the same
big brain.
The same feeling I get when I see a semi truck and it's pulling like 2 or 3 trailers behind it, and I'm like, why? Why are there so many? Why not just one? I'm confused.
This is how trucks are born.
Yeah.
Oh, good stuff. Chris, let's quickly plug some things, then we'll break down this trailer.
If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Chewy. You can super chat with us. Give us your thoughts on the trailer. We'll talk about it on the show. You can become a channel member and keep things going over here for the bills we have to pay to make this thing run. We appreciate people that are continued to be subscribed to us on YouTube. We're here because of y'all. And if you're listening to the show on a podcast app, please subscribe if you haven't. And if you are subscribed, consider leaving a review. Maybe even an updated review. If you did one like 5 years ago but haven't done one recently, you can do an updated review with your updated thoughts on the show, which would be really, really cool. We got
it's
a
gone
Discord
downhill in the last half decade. Just
yeah,
go from 5 to 3.
Use a VPN to leave a review on iTunes for Scandinavia or something. I don't know. Do something like that.
yes, because we know that everybody's on VPNs for Scandinavia anyway, so I might as well just do that with your iTunes too. Is it even called iTunes anymore? I don't know.
No, it's Apple
I
Podcasts.
don't think so.
It's been Apple Podcasts for a
iTunes.
very long time.
Yes, and then you can also follow us on the Facebook and
on the
Twitter.
Facebook.
Check it out. We got a Discord. Link is in the description. We got game nights. We got watch parties. Is it a game night or a watch party this week, Ben?
I believe it's a game night because we are because we had movie night last
Perfect.
week, but then we'll be tackling episodes we did the big battle episode last week. So we're getting towards the end of Mandalorian, and we'll
Nice.
roll it on through next week. So tune in for that.
So definitely check that out. Again, link is in the description to join the SWU network Discord. And check out all the other shows we got on the network. We got the Raeside over on Hannah's channel at Raeside side. Raeside, if you're just listening, that's how you spell it. And then you can also check out Ion Cannon on this channel, Tales from Beyond the Galaxy on Twitch, and Tractor Beam on this channel.
All right. Let's get into it. Let's talk about Maul, Shadow Lord. We'll get into the details of when and how we'll see this thing in a little bit, but let's start with the trailer. And Ben, as always, throwing it to you first. What did you think of the first proper trailer for Maul, Shadow Lord?
Yeah, no, it's a great trailer, great showcasing of what we can expect from this show. Very different because yes, of course, I saw the potato quality version that's been floating around from that was shown in Celebration. This is very different from that trailer, and very pleased it's out there in the open because I have a lot of thoughts about things that are in the trailer that I wanted to talk about previously, but I didn't want to spoil it for anyone just in case they were waiting for this trailer. But it's gorgeous. I mean, just when you think Lucasfilm Animation can't top themselves, they go and do this. They go and top themselves again with the visuals and bringing us. And the interesting thing about this is the fact, and Joel actually mentioned this to me, I didn't even pick up on this. This is the first animated series since the Clone Wars to feature prominently, I suppose, or star characters from the movies. You had, Rebels, Bad Batch, Resistance, they were all kind of original new characters, whereas this is going back to Maul. Now, I don't think this is going to be exclusively, obviously not going to be just all about Maul. I think my theory is that, I think these other characters are going to have a pretty big role to play too, and they may even, being that Maul is just a giant SOB, we're maybe seeing him through their eyes, maybe through a lot of this. But a lot of interesting visuals. I think it's the perfect trailer in and of itself because it's teasing. It's giving you all these different visuals and showing these different planets and very dark. Is this whole show at night? Very dark. I don't see any daylight in this episode, and I'm here for it. But it's visually stunning.
Yeah, it really, really is. Chris, what are your thoughts on the trailer?
Yeah, Darth Maul only goes outside at night. Is at that point in his life now, I think. It was very exciting. I mean, prior to seeing a lot of footage from this show, a lot of my thoughts on it were based on just what the plot was going to be about and what characters it was going to follow, and me kind of wondering what the balance would be. So now that I've actually seen all this footage, now I have feelings about the show and anticipation about the show based on the visuals, which is really, really cool to have. And I really like the animation of this show. I mean, we've been hearing that it was going to be a bit different than the Clone Wars and Bad Batch, and that's very true. Like, it definitely has a bit more of an animated stylistic look. I feel like, with the exception of the characters in Clone Wars, and to an extent Bad Batch as well, that were based on Thunderbirds animation style and marionettes, with this wooden look to their skin and hair and such. That show is very realistic in its animation, like the ships and especially like the environments and nature. It was all trying to kind of look very realistic, to the point where the animation got so detailed in the Bad Batch. I remember watching that first episode of the Bad Batch, being blown away by, how realistic some of the nature scenes looked on that show, and that continued throughout the process of the show getting more and more realistic. So I think it's very interesting that this shows a departure from that, and that it has more of an animated kind of impressionistic painting look to the environments that the characters are moving through. That really, really struck me when I saw it, but it's still very, very science fiction. And so I think what it reminds me of the most of is, it reminds me of concept art. It reminds me of moving concept art, because you see the style more in concept art than you see it in the final product for Star Wars. And we love those Star Wars concept art books that they put out for like everything, because the art is so amazing and it's never fully captured with that artistic creativity when they go for a realistic style based on it. And so I'm very excited to see that, like, concept art, more kind of artistic, rendering to the show in its final animated form. Like, that's really cool. So I'm very hyped for the show. Now I less of my interest in the show is riding on just like, is Kira gonna show up? Is it gonna be about Crimson Dawn? Like, how is this gonna deal with us not seeing what happened to the characters from Solo, A Star Wars Story? Like, now it's less that. It's still a bit of that, but now I think that regardless of what we see, I'm just going to appreciate the show. A lot of my appreciation is just going to come from looking at it, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that I remember seeing when I saw the trailer at Celebration, which was almost a year ago, and I have like pretty much forgotten what happened in that trailer, and I don't have a potato quality version of it. I have not seen that thing since I was in the Celebration stage at the Magahori Mesa in Tokyo. So like I've forgotten the content, but what had stuck with me was the art style, was how it was a clear continuation of the Clone Wars, but they had upped the stylization. They had made it grittier and grungier, that fit in with the sort of story I imagined they were going to tell, and that it seems like they're telling, of Maul, who is kind of a grungy character, at a time when he is not at his lowest. We've seen him at his lowest in the Clone Wars, when they first find him on the junk planet. But all of his sort of machinations at the end of the Clone Wars, everything he was building to on the Clone Wars, kind of came tumbling down in the Siege of Mandalore. And now he finds himself, without, having failed in his mission to stop his master, and now having to figure out how to exist in this time when he is still being hunted, and there is no clear way to stop what's going on. So what does he do? How does he learn to exist? How does he thrive? How does he go forward? And that art style meshed with the character, it meshed with the time period, and it clearly meshes with the setting that is the underworld. And so it makes it fits for what they're doing. and it's nice to see it in the proper version of the trailer that we can all sort of revisit over and over again, instead of just twice on the big screen when you're at the high of, oh my god, they've announced the new show, and oh my god, Sam Witwer's on stage, and oh my god, he's doing the Ian McDiarmid from Celebration Chicago as they roll it again, but in Darth Maul's voice instead of Palpatine's. It's nice to see it in this manner. Let's talk a little bit about Maul, right? This is a character we know so much of his story. We've seen his beginnings, we've seen his sort of resurrection, and we've seen his death. We know how it ultimately ends for him in Rebels. And one thing that was really cool in the trailer for the trailer was they did sort of shout out that moment. There was a quick flash of the silhouettes of Obi-Wan and Maul on Tatooine. So we know how it ends, but it still feels like this is a character where it still feels like there are vast swaths of his story left to be told. There are some Star Wars characters where you feel like, okay, I've seen how they've seen their birth, seen their great accomplishments, seen their death, know their story. Yes, there's gaps in the timeline, but if you don't fill them in, you don't fill them in. Maul, it feels essential to fill in these gaps. So, Chris, I'll throw it back to you. Like, what are you looking to see from Maul in this time period of being 1 year after Revenge of the Sith, on his own, trying to do the same thing that everybody else is doing and adapt to life under the Empire?
I think one of the most striking qualities of Maul from right before this, from the Siege of Mandalore, from the Clone Wars, is how he knows more about what's going on in the galaxy truly than anyone. And he's not afraid to tell anybody about it. and so I'm very interested to see how he uses that knowledge of how the Empire actually came to be and how the Clone Wars ended and all the behind the scenes stuff and everything he knows about the Jedi and the Sith and the clones and all this. I'm curious to see how he leverages that knowledge to build his criminal underworld empire. I'm curious about that, because he has this huge advantage, not just physically an advantage because of his ability to use this force and his, those ability to wield a lightsaber very well, but also that mental advantage of having that knowledge, knowing how to use it, knowing how to tell the truth in a way that still manipulates people. Like I definitely want to see that explored. I mean, we spent the prequels with Sidious being the mastermind and a lot of times Maul being the muscle. And so I'm really curious to see what mastermind Maul can do and how that is portrayed. I think that is very interesting aspect to the story, and will be just as entertaining, if not more entertaining, than just seeing him, go all out with the Force with his lightsaber and go after some people, which I'm sure there'll be great action in the show. But I'm really curious about the mental, psychological thriller aspect to it.
Yeah, that was something that I think was a surprise when Maul came back in the Clone Wars, right? Like you said, in the prequels, he's the muscle, he's the enforcer. And I can't remember if it was Dave Filoni or if it was Sam Witwer. One of them said, here's a guy who looks like the devil. He's quite literally like his vision, his design is based on the devil. And he walks into a room, and yeah, it's really scary if he pulls out a weapon and starts attacking. But it's even scarier if he sits down and starts talking to you. And they kind of go for that right away in this trailer with him doing kind of the tea ceremony. And he's just sort of telling you what he knows, what he can do for you, and why he is such a threat to everybody in this era. It's not just the double-bladed lightsaber, as great as that is. There is so much more depth to this character that is yet to be explored. Ben, over to you. Your thoughts on what you'd like to see or what you're expecting to see from Maul in this show.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, going back to the Clone Wars. I think it was season 3, season 4, where Maul shows up and he kind of comes out of his I don't know, his craziness, if you will. They literally pull the crazy out of his head, and he's like, "Oh, okay, what's going on?" And Savage is like, "There is conflict, the Clone Wars," and Maul's like, "Ah, so it began without me." And you're like, "What? Like he knows about the Clone Wars?" Well, of course he would. Like, of course he knew the whole grand plan. He was supposed to be the guy from the beginning. And that fascination, we love to talk about Star Wars what ifs. Like, that's the giant what if of what if he hadn't died, and what if what part would Dooku had played in that if Maul had still been around, and how would the Clone Wars have played out and things. And obviously we get a version of that because Maul never really went away. He just he was just kind of on a junk planet for a while. Now we're getting, I think Sam Witwer has talked at length. He talked to Celebration and done a lot of interviews about the fact that this show is going to address that. It's going to get Maul's perspective on what he expected it to be, what the Empire actually is, and how Maul reacts to that. I think that's going to be a fascinating aspect of this show, of having Maul working in the Imperial era, trying to build up what we eventually will know as Crimson Dawn, and working all that out, and just like thing, and and there is the whole aspect of he was hunted down on Order 66. Like, the clones were prepared to kill him on that Venator in the finale, and then we hear, I think it's a clone, or I think it's an Inquisitor who says, "The Emperor wants you dead." So I'm like, okay, well, what are we doing here? Like, Palpatine, like, and we know he doesn't die here. We know he has an appointment with Ben Kenobi on Tatooine many years from now. So, does he get out of this? How does he things? We know he gets stranded on Malachor for a while. What is that in game? I don't know, but I'm very curious to see what that relationship is and what is his gameplay here, because ultimately I think he hates Sidious. Like, I think probably part of his plan would be to get back at Sidious now, not just lay in wait, but strike as he tries to do in the Clone Wars finale. So I just, and having him obviously go against Inquisitors, and there's a lot of moving pieces, and being this basically the same time period as Bad Batch, it's just a fascinating period of time. Well, Bad Batch covered it really well, but I think it deserves more time. And given that now we're going to get Maul's perspective, of all people, during this very tumultuous time in the galaxy when the Empire is taking hold of everything. Yeah, this is very, very, my interest is piqued.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if any role Palpatine plays in this, the Sidious plays in this, the Emperor plays in this. Because you hit on, I think you hit on something very interesting there, Ben, right? Like, so it began without me. Like, he knew this plot was in the works. He knew that they were going for. What does he know about Sidious? How much does he know about what grander plans Sidious may have for the galaxy, right? Like, it never really, Sidious never really seemed like the guy who he did everything to get the power, and then he's just gonna kick back in his palace and put his feet up and let other people run the galaxy. And he didn't really seem all that interested in governing either once he became Emperor. So what does he want? That's kind of always an interesting question. The sequel movies and the stuff that we've started to see with Project Necromancer and Mando and Bad Batch suggests that he's trying to, essentially, for lack of a better term, finish what Plagueis started. He wants to figure out the secret to eternal life, not for someone else, but for himself, right? Like Palpatine, as the line in Revenge of the Sith, it's ironic he could save others from dying, but not himself. I think Palpatine would be able, he doesn't care about saving others from dying. He'd like to be able to save himself from dying. And that's what we see him doing with Project Necromancer, and of course his resurrection and Rise. He also seems to be interested in some sort of larger control all time, always kind of thing with the world between worlds. He seems really interested in that. And those two goals are kind of related, but they're not necessarily the same. And so when Maul and Sidious were making these plans, pre Phantom Menace, potentially even with Darth Plagueis involved in them, if you want to incorporate some of the Plagueis novel, which is Legends, but still feels sort of relevant in spirit, if not maybe not literally. What were they thinking they would do? Like, once we get all of this power, what are we going to do with it? Joel in the chat says the Empire is basically the ultimate R&D department. And that's kind of, what he does. He figures out how to build a Death Star. He figures out what Project Necromancer can be, like all this stuff. But what do they actually want? We're not going to get that from Sidious. And it seems unlikely that they'll do a show about the Emperor. Although that would be cool if they wanted to. But Maul is like the one guy who kind of knows. I don't even think Anakin knows. I don't think Vader knows. Dooku might have known, but he chopped his head off. I don't think Palpatine shares those dreams with Vader because he's pissed at Vader for losing to Obi-Wan in Revenge of the Sith and not being the ultimate apprentice. So what does he want? And maybe Maul knows, and maybe Maul can, expose Sidious for that, and that might, that would certainly put a target on his back even more than we already have. And Sidious really wanted Maul off the board so much so in Clone Wars that he went to Mandalore himself in season 5 with his lightsabers. That seems to be about the only time in the Clone Wars that he got that level of involved until Revenge of the Sith. So interesting things afoot with what Maul and Palpatine and all of that, what we could learn about our Emperor, our glorious Emperor, from his former student.
Good old Sheev.
Yeah, right. It will also, I think, be interesting to see his relationship with the Empire. One of the characters that we learn about, that we see for the first time in the trailer, and we learn a little bit about in the sort of press that has come with it, is the character. What's this guy's name? Why have I lost it? Hold on. Oh, this is so unprofessional. Gideon. No, that's the actress. Brander Lawson. I saw Gideon. I'm like, that's a Star Wars character.
It is.
No, Brander Lawson. The description we get from StarWars.com: a respected police detective, Captain Brander Lawson, and his partner, a droid nicknamed Two Boots, investigate shadowy dealings on Janix, the planet that we see featured most prominently in the trailer. You look at the trailer, right? And you look at some of the scenes involving this guy. Mm-hmm. He seems like he should be the good guy. Like the way we're used to watching media, the way we're used to watching shows, there's a lot of cop shows, cop movies. We look at him, all these scenes of him looking at holograms of Maul. It looks like he's tracking down the bad guy, which in a way he is. But what's he going to do with Maul? It's going to turn him over to the Empire, and the Empire isn't great either. So we're in a real morally gray situation. I don't know. What do you guys think about how we're going to see Maul interact with, the Imperial, the fist of Imperial law and order?
I think it's interesting because I think in media in general, there's been a broad shift when it comes to how like law enforcement is portrayed. Like, I think, going back to the procedurals of the golden age of television and like early prestige age, that it's always like the cops are the good guys and then they're going after the bad guys. And I think in general there's been this shift towards a lot of media portraying either the military or the police as morally gray at best and at worst even villains in their stories. So I think that this show actually fits very well within the current media landscape. If you're going to have a situation where there's really no hero. There's really no hero. You might have an antagonist and a protagonist in like a storytelling point of view, who's trying to like get to a MacGuffin of a story and who's trying to be the obstacle in that MacGuffin. But I think when it comes to just the morality of the actors at play, potentially, Maul and his underworld group and this character and the Empire's police and agents and such, like they're neither of them are good. Neither of them are the good guys.
Yeah. They could also do the classic, the good cop within the broken system, is the one guy with the morals while everybody else is corrupt. That's also seems to be a favorite of the current moment. Go ahead, Ben.
Yep. No. I'm kind of piggybacking off of what you just said, Chris. Like I think using the word hero, and I always go back to, the famous line, heroes on both sides. The Clone Wars being this kind of grand period of time where you have this civil war happening, and there are, from different points of view, there are heroes. There are great, people, depending on what your idea of great is, big people fighting a war. Now the age of heroes is done. All the heroes were defeated. Both good and bad guys. Obi-Wan, Grievous, all those guys, they're gone. Like, this is an age where, you don't have heroes, you don't have Jedi anymore. You don't have people. It's just kind of like bad guys and worse guys, and then people just trying to survive. You see the Bad Batch, they're fighting the good fight, but they continue to lose and barely hang on, trying to be heroes in this exact period of time. And Maul is maybe not as bad as the Empire, but he's a pretty bad guy. And so, and who knows what Lawson is? And I'm curious, the fact that he's voiced by an Oscar nominee, is reason enough to believe that like he's going to have a pretty big part in this show. And I'm curious, just as basically a cop, playing a part in the show. I didn't see that coming. And like, okay, how does that things? Obviously, he's going to be investigating Maul, but what is that going to look like? And like, how does a normal person in the galaxy perceive Maul? I'm just like, oh, this guy, he's a former Sith Lord, and he was presumed dead for 10 years. Like, what is going on here? Like, that actually is a really interesting way to look at it, I think. And just seeing where he's at in this, and how these different people and what their motivations are, and how do they deal with the Empire, because the Empire is the big dog on the block now.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned it, Ben. Wagner Moura is the actor. I hope I pronounced that right. Could have been wrong. Yeah. Most recently, it was in The Secret Agent, which is a Brazilian movie, and that's what he got his. He got a nomination for Best Actor at this year's Oscars. So could be another sort of big get for Star Wars. I mean, it already is. He's been in other projects like Civil War, the Alex Garland movie from a few years ago. Then lots of stuff in Brazil as well, and a few American things, including Narcos and good quality shows like that. So yeah, more good talent coming on board to Star Wars. Always love to see it. Another new character that we are introduced to, or that we get our first look at in the trailer, is Devon Izara. This one voiced by Gideon Adlon, who is what appears to be a Jedi Padawan who survived Order 66 and is in hiding. Darth Maul is going to train a red Twi'lek in the dark side. Feels like an homage to a character from the old expanded universe in Darth Talon. But we've had glimpses of Maul the teacher with Ezra, but we've never and Savage, but we've never really seen him right, yeah, this might be a different sort of challenge for Maul, taking a Jedi like this under his wing. What are we looking to see from this relationship?
I think it's very interesting, kind of based on what I was speaking about before, which is, Maul's kind of full knowledge of the situation, because, he can use the truth to distill it in such a way that and present it in such a way that he could manipulate her, into his fold. So I'm curious psychologically how he's gonna get her to join him, and if it's going to be, a lot of times it can be very specific arguments about like the person's like personal history. Like, when Palpatine's seducing Anakin, it's all about like Palpatine and his mother or all like Padme and his mother and such. And so I'm curious, if Maul's able to kind of use the general landscape of the galaxy and the fall of the Jedi and rise of the Empire to manipulate her. I mean, perhaps he presents it as, well, the Jedi are all, in hiding or dead. Their institution is gone, and there's no one to fight the Empire anymore. But I'm looking to fight the Empire. I don't like Palpatine. Why don't you join me? And together we can build an organization to actually rebel against Palpatine. Like something like that would be interesting, where she actually, thinks she's doing something that's good by working with him, and it's not through very subtle moments that she herself falls to the dark side too.
Ben, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I mean, for just to stop for a second, I have to appreciate this moment, appreciate the confirmation, because we knew this was coming. But basically, what you just mentioned, Darth Talon, the fact, this whole real world history that apparently happened with Darth Talon. Obviously Darth Talon from the Legacy comics, been a character in Star Wars lore for years and years and years. And then you had the video game that was developed by George Lucas. And George Lucas was like, yeah, take Darth Talon, take Darth Maul, and put them together because they're red people with tattoos and they look cool. And then people are like, well, we can't do that. Darth Talon's from a different era. And he's like, I don't care, just do it. And the video game obviously didn't come out, but this concept has been out there for a while now. I love the idea of Filoni coming back to this and going like, okay, maybe we can make this work. Maybe we can actually make George's dream come true in a weird way, and do this and have maybe, who knows if, I don't think any, who knows? I'm not going to say one way or the other. I don't think we're actually going to get Darth Talon in this show, but it is important to point out, just like, okay, he's getting an apprentice. He's taking up this person, this Force user, and apparently going to train them in the ways of the Force, the ways of the dark side. Why would you do that? Why would you do that if not to be more like a Sith? And like he seems to be losing that part of himself. He's going into Crimson Dawn. He's being a crime lord, but ultimately, if you're getting an apprentice, he's going to do Sith stuff. Like that's the thing you do to go and challenge the Dark Lord of the Sith, who is currently things, or crown yourself Dark Lord of the Sith. You can go take out Sidious and Vader. And we see in the Clone Wars, we see that Ahsoka basically gets the same deal. He's like, join me, we'll go take on Sidious. Join me, we'll team up and we'll do this thing. And Ahsoka, of course, sees right through him and says, you just want me so you can go take Palpatine's place. You're not actually wanting to stop what's coming. Because he was going to be part of it anyway. He likes people suffering. He probably is a little taken aback by how big the Empire is, but I don't think he's necessarily against the concept of an authoritarian regime, put it that way. So it is interesting now going forward with that. What is his end game? What is he trying to do? And I think having this apprentice, this Jedi, who that is, an interesting way to look at it, of like a Jedi Padawan on the run, at the end of the rope, this dude who's not, but maybe she doesn't know. Maybe she doesn't know that he's a Sith. Maybe she doesn't know anything about him. As you keep saying, he could very easily manipulate the truth. The Sith love to do that. And in a way that, gets her on his side until she realizes the actual truth, and then it's too late, and she's become something she regrets. So should be interesting, but ultimately just a really cool kind of a rearranging of the tiles here, and doing something really different with something an old concept in Star Wars.
Mm-hmm. It will be something I'm surprised we haven't seen more of is Jedi who have survived Order 66, who live in this time of the Empire, who fall to the dark side but don't join the Empire, that seek revenge against the Empire because of what they did to all of their friends, right? Like we've seen Jedi become Inquisitors, where they join up with the Empire. We've seen lots of Jedi go into hiding and stay in hiding. We've seen some Jedi take up the fight and try and continue the fight against the Empire in one way or another. But we haven't really, unless I'm forgetting someone, and correct me if I'm wrong.
Weirdly, it happened, I think, twice in the Jedi Fallen Order series. You had Terran Malicos, who I can't remember his whole deal, but basically he's kind of a dark Jedi, I think. And then the second guy, I can't remember his name. He's the Jedi that High Republic Jedi comes back and is obviously like kind of pissed off about a lot of things. Has some deals, but he's not necessarily in league with the Empire. He's just like, how could you let this Empire thing happen? You're a failure because this happened. So that's the only two instances that I can think of, like Jedi embracing the dark side kind of after the fact. And I mean, it makes sense that like you would, like, if you're a Jedi and you experience all this and you happen to survive this or come back into some way, makes sense that fear and anger and sadness would get to you at a certain point, and you would give into the dark side.
Yeah, exactly. And it'll be interesting to see, like, is there a character who might try to, fight the Empire using the dark side, to borrow a phrase from Andor, I condemned to use the tools of my enemies to defeat them. Like, go take that one step further, not just Luthen's, spy network and ruthlessness in killing people and letting people be killed, but like someone who says, I hate the Empire. I don't want to join them. I don't want to be an Inquisitor. I don't want to take Darth Vader's place at the Emperor's side. I don't want to be Emperor. I want to burn this all down. And so I am going to embrace this rage, this inner darkness that I'm feeling, this hatred that I have for stormtroopers, the TIE fighters, all the symbols of the Empire and the people that joined the Empire, and try and take them out that way. I think that could be a really interesting story to potentially play out in this. And Maul certainly seems like somebody who could use that sort of anger and motivate somebody with those feelings. It could be pretty interesting.
Dagan Gera. It just occurred to me. Dagan Gera is the High Republic Jedi who turns evil. That's things. I just had to say that. I'm sorry.
All right. The other kind of big character we haven't mentioned, or most notable character we haven't mentioned, really is Merrick. Merrick from the Ahsoka show. He's alive before he turns into a green mist in Ahsoka.
Okay, I have to point this out really quick. I'm sorry. Forgive me for a second, but jumping all the way to the end of the trailer.
Sure.
There's a great one shot of Maul dueling Merrick, and he does the big thing, and this camera spins, and he throws his lightsaber, and it spins around and hits some TK troopers and comes back to him, and then there's a swift cut, and Maul strikes down his opponent very, very swiftly. I'm just like, it seems like a killing blow, and the implication is that he was fighting Merrick. He just killed Merrick. I'm thinking, are we going to see how Merrick died the first time? Maybe this, or are they playing tricks with us? I don't know.
I'm looking at that shot. I looked at that shot just a couple of times while you were talking, Ben. It might be a little bit of trailer trickery. I'm
thinking that too. I'm thinking that too.
I'm not convinced one way or the other. It could really be him striking down Merrick, or it could be a little trailer trickery, because the background in the shot where he cuts down whoever he cuts down looks more like the interior of a building, whereas the rest of the fight with Merrick seems to be taking place somewhere kind of rocky with, interestingly, a lot of green mist, which again sort of ties in with what we know of Marek and what becomes
Marek also shows up in Tales of the Empire. So I don't know if that's set before or after this, but that's when Barris goes into the Inquisitorius and he's there. So
yeah, there's another Inquisitor I think we get a quick glimpse of in the trailer, if I'm not mistaken. I think
it's one of them brothers. It's one of them numbered brothers.
This is our 37th brother.
The only thing I remember about him is he fights Ahsoka on that farm planet, and he's voiced by Clancy Brown. I can't remember anything else.
From Tales of the Jedi.
He's got the bird mask.
Yeah. That one was a good one. I liked him. Yeah, it's good animation style.
Mm-hmm. We also see Rook Cast, one of the Mandalorians, still with Maul, someone who was with him, I think, going back to the Son of Dathomir comics.
Yeah, I think maybe that's the first time she showed up, and then had a speaking role in Siege of Mandalore.
Voiced,
and Vanessa Marshall is back to play her too.
There you go. Yeah, voiced by Vanessa Marshall. Other cast members, we have Richard Ayoade as Two Boots. This is Richard's second go as voicing a droid in Star Wars. He played the droid in The Mandalorian in the episode The Prisoner, and then he popped back up for the...
Is Richard Ayoade in the Star Wars universe, is that just a stock droid brain
droid voice,
like things like it's like they had just get the Richard Ayoade thing and plug him in, and this is what we're going with.
Yeah, I think that must be it. He does kind of have the perfect voice for a droid if you've seen his comedic work. Also, we've got Dennis Haysbert as Master Iko Diodaki, which is just going to be so much fun to say. Iko Diodaki.
I think that might be the little there's a little like lizard dude in a cloak you see it a couple times in the trailer. I'm thinking that might be him.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's Devon's master. Yeah, I think
that makes sense.
Or Jedi Master, the two of them on the run together, probably, evaded Order 66 and have been, living in the sewers ever since then. We have Chris Diamantopoulos, great Canadian character actor, in shows like Silicon Valley. Is playing Luti Vario. Charlie Bushnell is playing Riley Lawson. Vanessa Marshall, as we mentioned, as Rick Cast. David Collins as Spybot. AJ Locasico as Merrick. And Steve Bloom, not as Zeb, but playing a character named Icarus.
The funny thing here is that Marek, he only has like one or two lines in Ahsoka, but those lines are spoken by Sam Witwer. So I guess Sam Witwer had his hands full in this one. They're like, okay, let's actually cast a proper someone to do this.
So this AJ Locasico guy, I've never heard of him before. What has he been in other stuff? Or is this the Sam Witwer's version of BJ Hughes?
Oh, I didn't even think about that. But you're right. I haven't done the research, so I don't know.
After a quick Google, I'm gonna say AJ is a real person who has been in shows like The Witcher, Nightmare of the Wolf, Lego Star Wars All-Stars. Voiced Han Solo in as Star Wars Forces of Destiny.
He's got range, man.
And the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special. So he's been in stuff. Was in we played Colby in Tales of the Underworld. So so this is a real person and not Sam Witwer's alter ego. So that's what we got for the cast. Let's talk a little bit about the way this show is being released. So it's premiering on April the 6th.
Sixth.
It's a 2-part premiere. And it will be 2 episodes a week every week until May 4th. So 10 episodes total, 2 episodes a week. So 5 weeks between April 6th and May 4. What do we think of this? It's kind of half an Andor.
I'm gonna try not to. I told myself I would not be salty about this. Okay, I'm trying to hold myself back from this, but I also am like, cause like, okay, they're 30-minute episodes probably ish. We're gonna get 2 a week. That's reasonable enough. It's hard watching. For at least for me, it was like squeezing in basically 3 hours of Star Wars content every single week in a very short period of time. For Andor was the worst, despite the fact that it was some of the best Star Wars. This is just like, okay, I kind of see what you're doing, but also we could have had 10 weeks or at least 9 weeks of this. Now you're going to shorten it to 5 weeks. I'm a little pissy about that. Okay, I am. Okay, I can't help it. I'm hoping that they're saying this is a very serialized show. It's a show that kind of is not going to be a villain of the week. It's going to be more of a beginning, middle, and end type of show that one episode leads to the next. That's cool. And maybe these episodes play together. That's why they're doing this. It also feels like they're just trying to get it out of the way as quickly as possible, or just like, why not start it now? Guys, why not start it now? I mean, I'm glad it's going to be done before Mando and Grogu, but still, like, let it breathe, let it do. There's nothing happening right now. Come on.
I mean, it's
Brad Rouse says about the show real quick. Brad Rouse says about the show. The show is highly serialized, very connected all the way through. Matt Michnovitz is the executive producer and writer. Brad Rouse, the director, says, and it's a super fast-paced series. We wanted to create an action-packed thrill ride, something that had the rush of a roller coaster. So we wanted to do a lot of homages to the classic serials of the day, which gave George Lucas the inspiration for Star Wars. There you go. So that's their reasoning for this. Continue. Chris. Sorry about that.
Oh yeah, that's great context. I appreciate you adding that. So. I mean, one thing that could be going on is that they're more concerned about when the show ends than when the show begins. Like, we also have talked about how May 4th, we might be getting another Tales of insert Star Wars faction. Yeah. And so perhaps there's a story in that relies on us having already seen this show first. And so it needs to get out of the way by then. So, because again, ending on May 4th, because that seems a lot more intentional than beginning on April 6th. April 6th sounds like a random date. Now
April 6th sounds like it was picked because it was 5 weeks before May the 4th.
Exactly, it's 5 weeks before. And also, what's interesting too is this the first Star Wars show that we've gotten that's released on a Monday?
I guess, yeah, that sounds.
I can't think of any that have been released on Monday.
Was Tuesdays.
We've had Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Fridays.
Tuesdays has been the kind of the go-to release day most of the time. I think
typically,
so
yeah.
So most of the live action
that really suggests that it's all about half finale on May 4th, which makes me think that either the finale of this show is going to be the big May 4th content, and they're going to hype it up as like, for May the 4th, you get the finale of Maul Shadowlord, or again, there's another piece of content coming on that day that somehow ties in or follows up to this season, which I would obviously much prefer that, because that means more stuff for us. Now, that again, to address the thing Ben brought up with, well, if you wanted to end it on May 4th, why not just have an episode a week and start in February or March instead? I wonder, if they had to do a medium between, we need to end this on May 4th, but we also need to have the first episode fully ready to go by the time that it premieres in production. And perhaps, it's like, well, they're still a few months away from having it fully done. I mean, we know that with a lot of shows and a lot of Star Wars shows, like, it's like the week before and days before when they're putting the finishing touches on things. It was one episode of The Mandalorian where they had not completed it, as we know, and thus Gene's guy was born. So that part, they had not done the final paint over effects pass before that one came out. So clearly they're working on this stuff up until right before it comes out, and it's on a very tight schedule. So that's what I'm thinking here. Is it seems very arbitrary to just be like two episodes, every single week. It doesn't sound like a creative choice necessarily, because having a season made of like 4 or 5 like duologies is like that seems like an odd way.
That's when you're at the point where you're like, why don't we just do 5 40-minute episodes? If that were how they were structured.
Exactly. Yeah. So it seems like, doing 5 sets of 2 is kind of like really random. So I'm thinking like there's some really big reason why it has to be over on May 4th that we're going to find out one way or the other. And then the soonest they can get episode 1 out is April 6th. So thus, mathematically, well, there's 5 weeks in there, so there's 2 episodes per week. Like that's what I'm thinking. Now, at the same time, I would very much love it if it was in such a way that these episodes are paired with the pacing of the show, where it kind of like peaks every 2 episodes of some type of like, editing, pacing. Like that would be really cool. I don't. Again, it feels too random to be like Andor in the way that it was designed, where it's like we're not going to get a year between every 2 episodes like that. I don't think that's going to happen. But I am excited hearing that it's fast paced and that it's going to flow that way, because that's one thing that I mentioned, a little bit ago when we were talking about our hopes and expectations for the show. I really, really am hoping to see a show that just like flows from episode 1 to episode 10. And there isn't like an episode where it's like really divergent from the main storyline, and then you have to kind of get back into it. Like I'm excited that it's just going to move really fast from episode 1 to 10, and there's going to be no episodes that feel like, okay, they did the episode order before they, wrote the show, and now they have to write in time into the airtime into the show, so thus there's like an episode or 2 that just don't need to be there, that you could just not watch. Seasons still makes sense. Like it sounds like this show isn't going to do that, which really excites me, because a lot of Star Wars shows have that, and it's annoying.
Yeah, here's my read on it. I agree that it's clearly done so that May 4th is the finale. My suspicion there is they didn't want it to run directly into The Mandalorian and Grogu, so they said, okay, we're not going to premiere it on May 4th, which feels like the more expected way to do something. They said, okay, what's the next best thing after a premiere on May 4th? A finale on May 4th. So we're going with the finale. I would love it if there was some other secret release coming as well, but I suspect it's just we got these 2 episodes, wrap the finale, maybe some kind of new teaser for Mando Grogu. That's our May 4th. And everybody, jump on the roller coaster, because it's a quick ride from that point on to the movies. As for the 2 episodes at a time, I don't think it's a production thing. I'm going to be honest. I don't think it's a production thing. I think the show is probably done. I'm going to say probably the first couple of episodes, if they wanted to, could be aired right now. I think the thing here is we're in a weird spot with TV release schedules where people don't want binge releases, right? They don't want 12 episodes of House of Cards all at once. But they don't necessarily want everything drawn out over however many episodes. They don't want to drawn out over that number of weeks either. I think everybody's trying to find some sort of medium in between. And you look at the way like Stranger Things was released over December, right? Like there would be 5 episodes and then 3 episodes and then a 2.5 hour finale, all spread out by a couple of weeks or a couple of days in between. So like it was drawn out that way. I do think Andor is kind of a model for future success for a lot of shows, where it's like put out a couple of episodes at a time, like 2 or 3, and instead of doing 12 weeks, you do 4 weeks, and then it's like an event for 4 weeks. You own a month. You're not going to own 3 months, but you could own a month. and that's pretty exciting. And even myself as like a viewer, right? Back in the fall, I decided to binge watch the first season of The Pit, which is sort of like 24 meets ER. It's great. It's a really, really good show. I understand why it won the Emmy. There's a lot of, as a salty Andor fan myself, there were a lot of salty Andor fans who were like, why didn't our show win? And I'm like, I agree. Our show should have won, but this show's really good too. I'm not going to tear it down for the sake of building up Andor. But so I watched the whole thing. It's 15 episodes. Each episode leads right into the next. I sat down to watch it and I thought, I'll just check this show out. And then next thing I know, it was 8 hours later and I'd watched 8 episodes in a row. And so I watched the whole thing over about 3 days, sort of, Saturday, Sunday, and then the last 2 episodes Monday night kind of thing. And now the second season is out, and it's 1 episode a week for 15 weeks, and we're on week 3. And every episode ends, I'm like, but where's the next one? Why isn't it here yet? Why? What do you mean I have to wait a week? What is this? The traditional method of releasing television? So I kind of look at like, people, we don't want 15 weeks of Maul. I mean, we do, all of us here do, but maybe, the world maybe doesn't want 15 weeks of Maul or 10 weeks of Maul, but 5 weeks of Maul sounds pretty awesome. And if you're giving 40 minutes as opposed to 20 minutes, people are more engaged, invested. There's more to talk about. It keeps the conversation going between the weeks. So I think it's all these studios, all the streamers, they're all sort of experimenting with how do we do something that feels like an event for and keep that momentum going for an extended period. It's not just one weekend, but we also don't want to drag things out by too much. Some shows are willing to do it, like The Pit. They're like, no, we are doing 15 weeks. That is our show. That is our format. That's what we're doing. And I kind of respect them for it, even though I want all 15 at once. Stranger Things, they tried to do some sort of middle ground thing. Not every show can be Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon and own the conversation for 8 to 10 weeks. Most shows can't. So I sort of look at this and I think this is the future. And it wouldn't shock me if when Ahsoka comes out later this year, if it's 6 episodes, it wouldn't shock me if that's 3 weeks. If it's 8 episodes, wouldn't shock me if that's 4 weeks. Like I kind of think that this is what we should expect is some variation of this going forward.
And you also have to consider the fact that, like, most people that will ever watch Maul Shadow Lord in the history of humanity will probably just binge it because they'll be watching it after it's already been released. And I think so much of this stuff, I just speaking personally, like, there's so many shows. There's so much stuff that, like, I want to, there's several shows. I want to watch Fala, but it's already halfway done with the season. I was like, I have to accept the fact that I'm just going to catch it. I'm not.
Are we losing Ben?
I think we're losing Ben. Oops.
You know what this means. Everybody knows what this means. You know what time it is.
Ben Hart, the Star Wars guy.
Yes.
Ben Hart, the Star Wars guy.
Star Wars rules. This is momentous. This is exciting. Why, hello there, Ben.
Ben Hart, the Star Wars guy.
He is the founder of the Star Wars Underworld, Mr. Ben Hart.
How's it going, everybody?
For all the characters, Star Wars characters that are featured in the video version of that, no Darth Mauls. And Ben, I think you need to fix that.
That is odd.
Every time I
didn't
see
make
that
this video.
Every time I see
you need to
that,
take a picture with a Maul.
oh my gosh! Every time I see that, I get more annoyed at how many articles of clothing I don't own anymore from that clip. I'm like, man, what happened to that shirt? I like that shirt. What happened to that hat? I don't have that anymore. Shit.
I swear, somewhere in my archives there is a picture of me with a Darth Maul cosplayer. I swear there is one somewhere.
well,
Dig it up.
Oh yeah.
We all,
seen this.
it would shock me if we all didn't have one, because at Celebration Chicago, our booth was right next to the Order 416 booth, and Reno
Yes.
spent at least 2 days of that, or at least 1 day of that in his Darth Maul cosplay. So I suspect we've got a Maul, all got a Maul photo somewhere. Ben, you were trying to make a point, and we'll toss it back over to you to try again.
Remember.
No?
I don't remember.
Okay.
No.
Great. What else stood out to you guys about the trailer? What else, what other moments or themes or vibes or what else stood out to you?
It kind of reminds me a bit of the style of the Spider-Verse animated movies.
I was
there's
going to
some-
say
there's some
that.
things
Yeah.
that reminds me of that, you know, realistic at points, but then very, very animated and stylized at other points. And then I just definitely like seeing that style with like science fiction vibes, which is really cool. Because once again, science fiction tends to go very hyper realistic. So I think seeing, you know, that animated but still like very like high sci-fi vibes is really cool. The first shot, the shot before they even like have like the intro is really really awesome looking.
Yeah, that sort of shot from above looking down at the planet. Yeah,
that's so cool.
Yeah. I do like the fact that, you know, Clone Wars was very stylized at first, then got more realistic, and I think Rebels was kind of like a reset point. They kind of went more back to very stylized things. I think Bad Batch was more realistic, kind of pushing what Clone Wars has started, and then I'm glad that Maul Shadowlord seems to be like, we're going to do realistic. We're going to do this kind of really things, but we're also going to lean into the stylizing, which is in. Like, you had that recent Puss in Boots movie. You had the Spider-Verse movies. You know, stylized animation is in. It's very much popular now. I think people appreciate that. I mean, look at K-pop Demon Hunters. Like, you know, the idea of just like, well, if you're going to do it animated, do it animated. Don't make it look like live action. Make it look animated. Utilize the medium to its fullest extent. And so I think the show looks amazing, but it's also undeniably animated, not in a floaty, unrealistic way it's grounded, but the look of it is very distinct, and it looks different from any other Star Wars show we've seen thus far.
Yeah, it does. It does look different, and it does look great. Just some other sort of things to spotted in the various rewatch of the trailer. You can see the Pikes seem to be back. There's a shot right at the beginning of them. So, you know, they had some alliances with Maul in the Clone Wars, and so we could be revisiting that. And again, you know, Maul has to, you know, presumably will be building up to Crimson Dawn throughout the show, and whatever that means. I like the look of the stormtrooper, the TK troopers that we see in this. Is this just what we saw in Bad Batch, or is this a more like even more sort of stylized version of it? I'm asking you, Ben,
it looks to be the same character model to me. It looks to be. I
Okay.
mean, obviously it could be tweaked a little bit, but it seems to be the same design, same character model that we saw in Bad Batch. I imagine they're utilizing a lot of the stuff for the elements from Bad Batch. And you obviously got other stuff mixed in. You get the gunships, you've got the the police droids and all that stuff. Like there's a lot of established stuff, and I think even though Janix is supposed to be the main planet and things, I think we're seeing some Coruscant scenes in here too. I think that's my theory anyway.
I would hope so. I would hope so. But it could be another one of those planets that looks just like another Star Wars planet, even though it's actually
it's like the city planets and desert planets are a dime a dozen in Star Wars.
There's an interesting quote from StarWars.com. Athena Portillo, who's the executive producer on the show, also vice president of Lucasfilm Animation. She talks about some of the techniques that they used to capture the look of the show. She says this, quote, cinematography, lighting, and VFX director Joel Aaron really took it up a notch with going back to the practical ways of capturing brushstrokes by painting them on glass, shooting them strategically, and then placing them in shots. He even went back to establishing matte paintings on canvas. There's always different challenges with every show to do, or every show that we do, but this one in particular raised the bar. We also wanted the animation and body mechanics and the facial to be more fluid from our previous work, and animation director Keith Kellogg worked really closely with CG and our internal animation team to upgrade the performances of our main characters. So Joel Aaron, like, literally painting, not doing the digital painting.
There's physical paintings in this show. It's not just animation, it's physical paintings. That's so cool.
That's really awesome, because obviously that's something we haven't had a lot of since the 1990s, and late 2000s since it started going out of vogue. So that's cool. And I remember we had discussed previously, like, what's Joel Aaron's involvement in the show going to be? Because, I consider him to be one of the most talented makers of Star Wars that exists. And so there we go. That's why his capability of doing things like that. He's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. We talked about the tea ceremony in the trailer. Here's another little tidbit from StarWars.com from Athena Portillo. She says there's a moment in the animation where Maul is conducting a tea ceremony with Devon, and you can see the nuances in Maul's performance that Sam Witwer learned while he attended an actual tea ceremony in Japan. So Celebration was truly a work trip for Sam Witwer. He wasn't just there to sign autographs and check out previews for the new Star Wars movies. He was doing research as well. Love that.
I'm gonna go to a tea ceremony and do research for a role.
Yeah, I think that's just how Sam got Lucasfilm to pay for him to go to a tea ceremony. I think is what happened. Sam wanted to go. He said, "Hey, I read in the script we have that scene, so I'm gonna go and learn. Can you guys pay me for that?" And Filoni, Portillo, Kennedy, one of them said, "Yeah, sure. Just send us the receipt. We'll reimburse you." That is something else I think is really exciting about this show, is having Sam Witwer be front and center. I've always loved hearing what Sam has to say. I think he's got really interesting and nuanced opinions and takes and insights into Star Wars. Don't always agree with everything that he says, but I really do appreciate what he brings to the conversation. And this is a guy who has been, he's been with the franchise for a really long time. Like Force Unleashed came out in 2007, which means they were working on it in 2005. Like, it's, this is somebody who's been doing Star Wars for 20 years, and to see him be front and center of a show like this is pretty exciting. It's pretty exciting. And I look forward to the many, many, many interviews that he's going to do in the lead up to this show, because they're going to be good. They're going to be entertaining.
Oh yeah, always.
So the behind the scenes team for the show, this is again from StarWars.com. Star Wars Maul Shadow Lords, created by Dave Filoni, based on Star Wars and characters by George Lucas. The series is developed by Dave Filoni and Matt Michnovitz. Brad Rao is supervising director. The executive producers are Dave Filoni, Athena Yvette Portillo, Matt Michnovitz, Brad Rao, Carrie Beck, and Josh Rhimes. Alex Spotswood is the co-executive producer. Interesting. The one name that's kind of missing from all of this, Jennifer Corbett.
I was just thinking that.
Kind of one of the key creative forces behind Bad Batch. I wonder if she's what is she working on something? She working on another Star Wars, or she moved on to
I think she moved on to something else. I've been following her social media, and I think she's working on something. I have to look it up.
Yeah. Well, whatever it is, I'm sure it will be great. I'm sure it will be great. After all she did for Bad Batch, I have no doubt. According
she's
to
working on NCIS, it looks like.
All right. Hey, get some live action experience over there, and then come back and show run a Star Wars live action.
She's the co-executive producer of NCIS Origins, which I've been seeing a lot of ads for.
That's a pretty good gig, sounds like.
Yeah, hey. Pretty cool. I believe the
Darn
Kiners
you,
are.
NCIS! You got all the good people. You got one of our good people.
You stole one of the best from us. Yeah, I believe the Kiners are doing the music for this, which is exciting as always. So, a lot of familiar faces, familiar names working on this. A lot of Star Wars experience that's going to be behind this show. Anything else? Any other points we want to make about the trailer, about the show, about the release schedule? Anything else we want to hit before we begin to wind down?
I'm excited we finally have a date, and I'm excited that it's not too far in the future. We only have to wait a little over 2 months to see this show. That's going to go by real quick. So excited.
Oh,
yeah, the fact that it's so soon, which it's funny how it's like I really do love like getting a trailer and then knowing like, oh, it's so far away and just you get to kind of pour over for a while. But also I do like the Disney Plus method of just like, here's a trailer and also it's coming out in 2 months. Get ready. And it's fun. It's just like, oh yeah, okay, it's upon us. It's happening, guys. After some years of waiting for the show, it's happening. And Star Wars, and it's funny how Filoni, darn you, Filoni, you get promoted to be co-president, and all of a sudden you got a new animated show.
Right. Yeah. And if you can't wait,
it is ironic. It's like the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Ben, because we lost you for a second there again.
Yeah.
If you can't wait, if April 6th is too far away for you, March 4th, Star Wars Shadow of Maul, the prequel comic book series, issue 1 drops. Then it features the police officer and droid duo of Brander Lawson and Two Boots, which I do like that the cop's name is just Lawson.
I just got that.
In the classic Star Wars animation naming tradition of Jedi Master I'm a Gundai and Halle Bertoni, just making it patently clear or blatantly clear.
I just love
who these people are.
This main cast, like all of these could be Star Wars names. Gideon, Adlin, Wagner, Mora, Richard Ayoade, all those could be Star Wars names. All those could be
Sam
Star Wars
Witwer.
characters.
Sam Witwer,
yeah, exactly.
That could be a guy you meet in a cantina. Oh, I love it. All right. I think we've covered just about everything there is to cover in the world of Maul Shadow Lord. Of course, we'll be looking forward to talking about this show, breaking it down every week for 5 weeks, starting on April 6th. But for now, I think we will begin to wrap things up for this week.
All right. Thank you, everybody, so much for watching and listening. We'll be back with another episode next week. Until then, of course, you can follow us on social media. Search for the SWU on your favorite social media app, and you will find us. Dominic, thank you so much for hosting.
It's my pleasure. As always, as I said off the top, these trailer breakdown shows are among my favorites, and they gave us a pretty good one to work with here. So I really enjoyed it. The animation trailers are always top tier, and this one was no exception. My one complaint in all of this and is the poster. It's a great poster, but I want it without the little Disney Plus like arc at the bottom. I just want it to
Thank you. I hate it.
Yeah.
I posted it to Instagram, and thankfully it wouldn't fit. I just cropped it out. I hate that thing.
Yeah, I get you got to put the Disney Plus logo on there. I'm fine with that. I'm fine you putting the April 6th, but like put it over something that matches with the poster, with the rest of the poster. Don't just put a random Disney Plus banner under an arc at the bottom. That's my one complaint with all of this. And I look forward to 5 weeks of complaining about helmets too, because these are the sorts of things that I focus in on. Yeah, looking forward to the show. It's going to be great. Cannot wait to talk about it when we get to it. And looking forward to being back and doing all of this again in 7 days' time. The first week of the Filoni-Brennan era has been a success.
Yes. May they all be like this one with a trailer for a new show. That would be amazing. You can follow Dominic on social media at DominicJ25. Ben, thank you so much for hosting too.
Oh, this was a special pleasure this week. I will echo what Dom said, that I love trailer weeks, mostly because I'm lazy and I don't have to do much to the show notes. I just show up, I watch a trailer and I show up, we do the show, and it's just not a lot of moving parts. So it's nice. Very, very simple and easy Star Wars content for us Star Wars content creators. But yes, very exciting. Very, Star Wars animation is something. I mean, it's part of the reason why I am very happy with the fact that Dave Filoni is now co-president. I should mention that. Not enough people are saying that. Co-president with Lin Brennan, okay? He's not just president, okay? A lot of people are glossing over that fact. And they need to remember that. There's 2 presidents now. But I'm very happy with Filoni because he's given us so many amazing things like this. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing even more of that and so much more. And yeah, cannot come soon enough.
Heck yeah. Follow Ben on social media at Ben Hart with no E. Make sure you punch that subscribe button on the way out. Thanks to everybody who super chats and is a channel member, keeping everything running. Thanks to everybody that's subscribed and listening to the show on podcast apps. Definitely leave a review if you haven't. Make sure that you click the link on your way out of here to go over to our Discord server and join that if you haven't. We've got a game night coming up tomorrow as of this recording, so it might be today, it might be happening literally right now as you're finishing watching or listening to this show. And then of course throughout the week, check out all the other content we have in our broader network. Hannah's got stuff going up pretty much every day of the week on the Raeside, so check that out. On Mondays we got Ion Cannon, on Wednesdays we got Tractor Beam. Not sure what day Tales from Beyond the Galaxy puts out their stuff, to be honest, but definitely follow them so you don't miss anything.
Let me just say, just real quick, we haven't got a lot of updates from Tales of Beyond the Galaxy, but I don't know if actually Jordan gave me permission to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I've heard things are happening. I've heard.
Cool.
I know there's not much to go on, but there is stuff happening. Yeah. Okay. I've heard.
If you're not following them,
Jordan gave me the lowdown of like what they're working on, and I'm very excited.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So definitely make sure you're following them. And of course, we'll be back with another episode next week. So until then, for Ben and Dominic, I'm Chris. May the Force be with you.
It's a wrap.